If your show is good, but it's not getting the traction you know it deserves, it could be because of one of these 3 blind spots that are responsible for 95% of all podcasting problems. So in today's episode, I am going to break down what those blind spots are and how to fix them so you can finally have a thriving show. My goal for you is that by the end of this episode, you're going to know exactly what to do and you're going to have clarity on what exactly you need to focus on so your show finally grows. To make this even easier for you, I have created a self-audit assessment which is linked for you down below. So go ahead and make sure that you do that so you know exactly what you need to do for your show. In the work that I do, I see this all the time. We have a very talented person who starts a podcast and they are putting out really good quality content. But the problem is that nobody showed them how to take their really good quality content and turn it into something strategic that actually moves their business forward. Because here's the thing that I say all the time. Podcasting for the sake of podcasting is not going to do anything for your business, for your visibility, for your growth, and ultimately your bank account. So there's a rhyme and reason to podcasting. It is not just let me say whatever I want to say into this microphone and put it out into the world and hope it does something for me. That's not how it works. So let's talk about blind spot number 1. And that is that a good podcast and a strategic podcast are not the same thing. And here's what I mean. You could have an episode for your person that has all the right information, that has everything they need to know to really change their lives. But the thing that people miss is that you could have a podcast episode that is full of value, but it's not designed to move the needle forward for your person, meaning they don't know what the next step is. What do they do next? And it's just kind of up in the air. And another extension of the problem could be that your content is really good, but your person listens to it and they're not actually sure it's really for them or how you help them and why your approach is different. And at the core of this problem lies this. Your person cannot self-identify with your episode because nowadays with AI and people having the ability to search anything and have the answer within seconds, if your content is not helping your person identify with you, then you have lost them. So this really truly is a balance of not just giving valuable content, because at the end of the day, valuable content is available on everybody's phones via ChatGPT and other AI. They have to be able to identify with you. And your content needs to be designed for your person to take the next step. And your content needs to be designed for bingeability, discoverability, and conversion, because otherwise you're just podcasting for no reason. So the fix here is to make sure that every podcast episode is designed for discoverability, for belief shift, and for natural linking to your offer. So your person knows what to do with your piece of content. Now, I have a ton of content on this already that I will make sure to leave linked for you down below that you can do a deep dive on. But at the core, those are the things that you need to focus on to fix this one blind spot. Which brings me to blind spot number 2. You are putting out episodes, but there is no listener journey, which means that your person can find your episode. So maybe you did a good job with discoverability, but now they listen to one episode and that's the only episode they listened to because they got the information that they needed. So there's no bingeability and there's no listener journey built into your episodes. So when you sit down to record, you need to make sure that you're thinking about where is your person in the journey and how does this episode help them and how can I make sure that they stick around so that they get to know me better. Because remember, I'm going to say this again, with AI and people being able to discover anything they want within seconds, it is that self-recognition that your person can have when they sit down to listen to your episode. That is what's going to be key in order to make sure that they stick around and they ultimately become listeners and clients of yours. So to create that strategic listener journey for your person, there are 4 things that we need to make sure that we do with our content. We need to make sure that the podcast creates trust, recognition, belief shift, and readiness. So recording episodes willy-nilly, it's not going to help you here. So the fix to this blind spot is for you to make sure that you're sitting down and you're giving time and energy into the content that you're putting out. So you need to be strategic with your content that you're putting out. So don't plan your content last minute and just put something out because you're trying to just follow a schedule. I'd rather you post less, but be very strategic about your content than just putting out whatever just because you're trying to commit to a content calendar. And here's a cheat sheet for you. Think of your next 4, 5, 10 episodes as a launch. So if you're launching a product, you're very strategic about what you're going to say on day 1, on day 2, on day 3. And it's the same thing with your podcast. You don't have to show up every day in order for you to do that. But there needs to be a beginning, a middle, and an end to your journey. So make sure that you're doing that in every single episode so that it's clear for you and it's also clear for your person, so they're not winging content and putting things together in the last minute. And remember this, randomly helpful is still random. Now, blind spot number 3 is the overall packaging of your show. How is your person perceiving the quality of your show when they come and listen to it? I worked in the food industry for a good chunk of my life, and the presentation of the food was always such a selling point, because you could have a really amazing dish, but if that dish is not presented beautifully, then the person is not going to be as excited to try it. And if they do try it, psychologically, it could be the same dish, like a beautiful dish and an ugly looking dish could be the same exact dish, but the beautiful dish is going to taste better because of the perceived value of the beauty. So we need to make sure that the overall packaging of your podcast is beautiful. How is your cover art? How is the name of your podcast? How are your episode titles? How is the show description? How are the episode show notes? All of it counts for the packaging of your show. There's so much nuance that goes into it. So make sure that overall there's a vibe that you're transmitting through your podcast episode. And again, it goes back down to the trust, the recognition, the belief shift. All of that is happening at a subconscious level when your person sees your podcast on the podcast app before they even listen to you. So every little thing counts on the podcast. And here's the other thing too, is that there's only so many ways that we can optimize the podcast. So we need to make sure that every little area of our podcast is optimized for the user experience. It's optimized for searchability. It's optimized for the bots so they can rank your content better. And all of those things matter, and they matter a lot. So pay attention to all of the little details. So the antidote here for this blind spot is for you to take a step back and look at your show objectively. How is the packaging? Is it beautiful? Is it inviting? Does it make you want to listen to your own content? Or is it kind of meh and okay? Is the vibe done is better than perfect? Which, listen, there's a time and a place for that. Done is better than perfect. I'm all here for that. But also, that cannot be the motto, right? Like, that cannot be the thing that we stand on. So if there's a part of your podcast that is not inviting, that is not beautiful, that is not warming and enticing, we need to fix that. And here's the biggest takeaway. Your podcast can be pure magic, but not have any momentum. And that is because the two are not the same. And in order for everything to work, you need to be strategic about how you show up in your podcast. At the end of the day, you can be insightful, you can be smart, you can have really good world-changing type of content. But if your show is not designed for discoverability, for bingeability, for belief shift, for readiness, then there's no way for your person to attach you to the next best step in his or her life. And this is where a lot of podcasters get stuck. They think they just need to keep going, they need to post more, and they need to be more consistent, when in reality, you could even post a lot less. Last year, I did an experiment and I posted on my podcast once per month. And my business still grew despite the fact that my podcast is my main funnel out there. It is basically the only platform where I show up consistently. I'm not consistent on Instagram, I'm not consistent on Facebook or LinkedIn or anywhere else, but I am consistent on my podcast. And despite the fact that I only showed up once a month in 2025 on my podcast, my business still grew, my income still grew. And this is because I'm very strategic about the type of content that I'm putting out there. And I am making sure that there is a clear listener journey, that everything ties back to working with me, so that my podcast actually has a clear job within this larger marketing ecosystem that I have for my business. And truly, when you look at all these invisible nuances behind your podcast and you make those shifts, which are minor shifts, you're going to see the growth that you have been dreaming of. Now remember that I have that assessment linked for you down in the show notes. Go ahead and answer those questions, because you're going to have so much clarity in what to do next.